I may not be the real guy, but fascism dies when the world is watching. And Canada is watching net, so is the world. You may think America has seen this before. It has not seen this combination before. Elvis Presley was born on January 8, 1935, and died on August 16, 1977. His life stretched from Franklin Roosevelt to Jimmy Carter, through war, Reconstruction, assassinations, scandal, protest, and the collapse of trust in a presidency. So if you want a measuring stick for presidential conduct, Elvis's lifetime gives you one. And this is where the story stops being nostalgia and starts becoming a ledger. During Elvis's lifetime, America had powerful presidents, flawed presidents, reckless presidents, secretive presidents, and in Richard Nixon, a disgraced president. But when you line up the administrations that framed Elvis's life against the current one, the pattern turns hard as iron. This is not just another controversial presidency. This is an outlier. Not because executive power is new. Not because scandal is new. Not because America never had arrogant men in office before. This is different because of the stack. The pileup. The accumulation of legal, institutional, and international warning signs in one presidency. Start with the one thing history cannot spin away. No president overlapping Elvis Presley's life was impeached. Not Roosevelt. Not Truman. Not Eisenhower. Not Kennedy. Not Johnson. Not Ford. Not Carter. And Nixon resigned before the process could fully finish. Donald Trump was impeached twice by the House and tried twice in the Senate. That alone places him outside the Elvis-era norm. And now comes the line no Elvis-era president ever crossed. Donald Trump is also the first current or former U.S. president convicted of a felony. People can argue motive. They can argue politics. They can argue fairness. But they cannot argue the record away. That conviction exists. It stands. That is not a chant. That is not a mood. That is history stamped into the public record. Now here's where lazy critics get it wrong, and where the real case gets stronger. A weak argument says, he used executive orders, therefore tyranny. That is not serious. That is not history. Presidents throughout Elvis's lifetime used executive orders too. The American Presidency Project's data shows heavy executive order use across many administrations, including Truman, Eisenhower, Johnson, Nixon, and Carter. So the strongest comparison is not that executive orders exist now. The strongest comparison is this: what kind of presidency are those executive powers attached to? Are they attached to a presidency with no impeachment history? No criminal conviction? No extraordinary pressure on democratic institutions? Or are they attached to a presidency already marked by 2 impeachments, a felony conviction, and an aggressive style of executive action? That is where the comparison becomes devastating. But the real warning sign is not only what happens at home. It is what this presidency risks breaking abroad. Elvis was born into the America that would help build the post-war democratic order. The presidents of his era did not always act nobly, but the broad arc of that age was alliance building, alliance maintaining, and the belief that democratic allies had to stand together. The current presidency has repeatedly put that logic under strain. As of April 2026, Trump is the president, and the White House confirms his administration is in office now. At the same time, recent reporting has described Trump openly considering withdrawal from NATO. That is not a cosmetic change. That is a threat to one of the central alliance structures the post-war American order was built around. Do not miss what that means. Roosevelt governed through catastrophe. Truman governed through Reconstruction. Eisenhower governed through alliance-era consolidation. Even when those presidents were hard, calculating, or wrong, the center of gravity in that era was still the maintenance of the Democratic bloc. The current presidency has repeatedly made the reliability of that bloc itself part of the question. That is one of the strongest contrasts in the whole film. If you want the darkest mirror from Elvis's lifetime, there is only one name that matters. Richard Nixon. Nixon became the old American benchmark for presidential disgrace. Watergate was the old symbol of executive corruption, contempt for limits, and the poisoning of public trust. But here is the pivot point. Nixon resigned. He was never impeached by the House. He was never convicted of a felony. So if Nixon was the old watermark for presidential rot during Elvis's life, Trump surpasses that old watermark on the combined markers of impeachment history and criminal conviction. And this is where you come in, because unlike Elvis's America, you have no excuse not to see it. We did not have your phones in our day. We did not have cameras in every pocket. We did not have instant archives. We did not have live streams. We did not have a witness box in every hand. You do. You can record the speech, replay the contradiction, archive the threat, compare the statement from this week to the denial from last week. This is not an age of not knowing. This is an age of evidence. And that is exactly why normalization is the real danger. The danger is not just one man, not just one office, not just one order or one scandal. The danger is a population getting so used to democratic strain that it starts mistaking exhaustion for acceptance. The danger is spectacle becoming anesthesia. The danger is people watching the lights and missing the fire. America has seen scandal before. It has seen abuse before. It has seen presidential disgrace before. But compared with the presidents spanning Elvis Presley's life, this administration stands apart on the hardest measurable markers: 2 impeachments, a felony conviction, aggressive executive action, and renewed strain on the alliance order that earlier presidents largely built or upheld. So after all the noise, all the theater, all the excuses, here's the verdict that remains. Elvis lived through presidents who built power, stretched power, sold power, disgraced power, and survived the judgment of history. But on the hardest, clearest, most documentable markers, the current presidency is the outlier in plain sight. Not because America has never seen loud before. It has. Not because America has never seen theater before. It has. But because the legal record is different. The institutional strain is different. And the pressure on the democratic alliance system is different. I may not be the real guy, but fascism dies when the world is watching. Canada is watching net. So is the world. And history is taking notes. Best short pull quotes from this version. These are your likely memory matters. Because when we channel creativity toward compassion, we make our voices louder than war and our compassion stronger than fear. This is not just another controversial presidency. This is an outlier. Start with the one thing history cannot spin away. Now comes the line no Elvis-era president ever crossed. The danger is spectacle becoming anesthesia. On the hardest measurable markers, this presidency is the outlier in plain sight. Subscribe today to help support our work of almost 1K in videos. Support Ukraine today at United 24 Media. Please save our world democracy. Big hugs, Big Dave. Slava Ukraine.